Yes, hello and welcome to another movie review. Again, this time a horror movie, no other than The Midnight Meat Train. Really nice. And yeah, like always, I'm going to do a little DVD review and then I'm going into the movie. So let's start with the DVD. I actually really like this cover. I think it looks really cool. The DVD is also from NSM Records, and yeah, I really like this cover. Here from the side, really nice, and from the back, also really nice. And yeah, on the inside, here we have the DVD, and we actually have another cover, which you could change, but which is also really cool. But I actually prefer this one. And yeah, that was already the DVD review. Few details to the movie. It was actually the movie came out in 2008 and has a runtime of 99 minutes. This one is of course the unrated director's cut, and of course the uncut version. With the not with the FSK 18, but with the FSK Spieljotka. And the movie was directed by Ruhai Kitamura, and it's based on the short story by Cliff Barker, who you will probably know from the Hellraiser movies. And yeah, there is some bonus material on this. There's actually a behind the scenes of a murder shoot, which was really interesting. I actually watched that. That was really interesting to see. Then also an interview with Clive Barker and a thing called Mahogany's Tale, and biographies of the actors, and also a picture gallery. So there is a lot of bonus material. So that's really nice. And yeah, that was actually all to the movie. So let's go into the for the DVD. Let's go into the movie. Like always, spoiler alert from here on. Leon is actually a photographer, played by Bradley Cooper. He lives with his girlfriend Maya, and one day he meets a famous art woman to his friend. What was his name? Let me see. I actually wrote it down. To his friend Jurgis. And she actually tells him to be more brave when he's taking pictures. So he actually takes on that advice, and that same night he goes into the city to take more pictures. And he arrives into the subway where he sees some man actually harassing a girl, and he photographs that, and actually scares them away by pointing out the CV camera. But it didn't really matter anyways, because the girl gets killed anyways by at this time an unknown murderer. We haven't seen him yet. Then he sees Leon sees the next day on the newspaper that the girl went missing. So he goes to the police to show the pictures but they didn't really believe him. They actually suspected him. He shows the pictures he took to Susan, and she says to him that if he gets her 2 more images, then they can work something out. So he takes that advice takes on that task. Later that night, there is actually the next murderer, which was also the behind the scenes in the bonus material. 3 people actually get killed in a really brutal fashion, which I actually don't want to spoil. If you want to see this movie, or if you don't want to see the whole movie, go see this scene. It's definitely on YouTube somewhere. It's actually really cool. And yeah, then we see the killer for the first time, and he actually after his murder, the killer actually goes out of the subway, and Leon actually sees him, and he follows him to an hotel. The next morning he follows him again, and it turns out that he's a butcher. Like that's his work. And then he waits until night and to follow him again. And he sees that the guy actually waits on the train station until there's no one there, and then he always takes the last train. The killer then actually fights the guy in the train, who was actually pretty strong. So the train driver actually comes and shoots the guy in the head and tells him to clean up. So basically, the train driver is his accomplice. And there we also get to know his name. He actually is called Mahogany. Really weird name. Then we also find out that he has some kind of weird spots who look like salamis on his body, which was actually pretty disgusting, but pretty well made, a good effect. The next day, Leon actually disguises himself as a worker at the meat factory, but he gets caught by Mahogany, and he hunts him down. But Leon somehow escapes. Leon also thinks that Mahogany is responsible for all missing people in the city, and he decides to follow him again to the train. And he actually sees him killing 2 people there, who Mahogany completely butchered. Like, he took out their eyes and their nails. That was actually pretty gruesome. But Leon gets caught again, and gets actually knocked out by Mahogany. He gets hanging on the train, and he actually gets attacked by an unknown creature. He then wakes up in the next morning in the meat factory, and he goes home and sees that he has a symbol on his stomach, and that also his camera with all the footage is gone. Maya then wants to call an ambulance, but Leon stops her, and so Maya decides that her friend Juganis, or what was it? Is it Juganis? You know what I mean? Go to the hotel where Leon saw him, and to get the camera back. But Mahogany comes back, and he takes Jurgis is his name, and takes Jurgis with him. And Maya escapes and goes to the police, but they didn't find anything in the hotel room, and it turns out that the policewoman is actually also in it. Maya then goes to the subway to find Jurgis, and she finds him, but Mahogany actually comes, but Leon saves her at the last second. He then has a fight against Mahogany, and and in that fight, Jurgis accidentally gets killed, and Mahogany gets actually run over by a train. The train then actually stops, and the unknown creatures are coming again to eat the dead bodies. Turns out that Mahogany is actually still alive, which basically means that he's definitely not human. But he then gets finally killed by Leon, and his last words were actually welcome. Then we come into the ending where the train driver arrives, and he actually whips the tongue out of Leon's mouth, like literally for no reason, or he does. It is a reason, he eats it. And he also whips the heart out of Maya, killing her instantly. He then explains to Leon that they basically protect the creatures and also feed them. And at the end, we see that Leon is now the next butcher. And yeah, I think that was all I had to say about the movie. One thing which actually bothered me was that the spots on Mahogany's body actually never got explained. There was literally no reason for that scene. I guess the only reason was probably for entertainment, for disgust. Just like the tongue whipping part also had really no reason. There are a few scenes which didn't really make sense, but yeah, the acting was actually pretty good, as well as the story. The story is actually really good. I have to give that to Cliff Barker. The soundtrack was nothing special, I would call it okay. And the special effects were good, but there was also really a lot of blood, but also a little bit too much CGI for me. So it's 2008, so you know that the CGI wasn't the best, but Yeah, I guess that wasn't that bad, but the whole movie just is kinda. I don't really know how to say it. It's definitely not bad, but I would also not call it good. But yeah, like I already said, Bradley Cooper actually plays in this movie, and he's actually I actually really like him as an actor. Roger Bart also plays in this movie. You maybe know him from Hostel 2, and Leslie Bibb also. She's pretty famous, and Vinnie Jones is actually playing the killer, and he definitely nailed that role. Yes, but I'm still not rating this movie pretty high. I'm just giving it a 6.6 out of 10. And it's pretty hard to explain why. There are a few scenes which really confused me. There was also too much CGI. Considering how good the story were, they could have done way more with it, in my opinion. And yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call it confusing, but it was. I don't know. The whole creature thing was. I don't know. They never really explained that. Like, how did they get there? What creatures are they? How was Mahogany so strong? Like, what the hell happened to Mahogany? That would be pretty nice to see. How did he get the butcher? Become the butcher? And yeah, but yeah, 6.6 is still decent. It's still pretty decent. And yeah, that was my review for the Midway. I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you in the next one. See you then.
Wanna see you in slow motion. Come stay the night, we can stay up till it's bright. In the morning, got the top open. Come take a ride, we can go where you like. I wanna see you in slow motion. Come stay the night, we can stay up till it's bright.